Hello and welcome to another episode of One-on-One Special Series with Young CEOs. This is Plus TV Africa and I am Elsie Godwin. First up is a conversation with a man who believes growth is a must, and if you don't grow vertically, then you must grow horizontally. He's the founder and chief strategist at Teksight Edge Limited, a tech company with presence in Lagos, Ghana, Kenya, and Rwanda. Charles Edosomwan is a Nigerian entrepreneur and a creative thinker. He studied computer engineering at Covenant University, Ota, diploma in public relations and image management from the School of Public Relations, United Kingdom, and professional diploma in digital marketing, digital communication, and media and multimedia from Digital Marketing Institute in Dublin. He attended the Accra Business School, where he obtained executive MBA in leadership and management. He has worked at a number of reputable firms and multinationals such as DG Engage Nigeria Limited, eTransact Limited, and Bluebird Communications Limited. He founded technology news brand called Ask Ifa NG and was recently recognized as Forbes Africa 30 under 30 CEOs in Africa. Thank you for your time, Mr. Edosomwan.
Thank you.
Okay, so what led to the birth of Teksight Edge Limited?
So Teksight Edge is a technology PRO and digital marketing agency. So earlier in 2013, I was working with another agency and I'd seen the gap in Nigeria. I just realized that there have been a whole lot of players in the industry with either they are not planning with a lot of data or they don't have a lot of knowledge about the industry. And we then realized that how do we create a company where we can use data and analysis to to give brands advantage, which is where the name came from, Teksight Edge, using technology insights to give brands edge, which is an advantage. Okay. And that's basically.
Okay, how has the journey been so far? Have you been able to achieve what you aimed to achieve?
So yes, we do a whole lot of data analysis. We work with a whole lot of softwares. We actually do not come up with strategies for our client unless we have proper data or proper information to back it up, either information about the consumer or information about the industry. And it's been a great journey. However, education is a problem in Nigeria, capacity. And so we then need to invest a whole lot into trainings. We then need to invest a whole lot into data, into information. And for the fact that most of this information you have to then outsource from international companies or international bodies, because the government bodies or the government regulatory agencies do not have a lot of data about the industry. So we then have to rely on international data sources. Yeah, and that's expensive. And yes.
So what problem would you say Nigeria have right now regarding the data issue?
Okay, so I would say capacity. And it's not capacity that we cannot do it, it's capacity that it would take a whole lot for us to achieve it because we've neglected the industry for a while. So for example, if I leave the airport in Ikeja now coming to VI, there's no way for the government or the police to tell which route I took, where I went through, and how I got there. But a company abroad or an international company like Uber can actually tell you how many stops I made. So there are no cameras in the street, things like that. So how do you mark that data? So if I tell you there's a billboard in Ikeja GRA, how many persons reside in Ikeja GRA? How many persons can see that billboard? Right? And that's basically what it is. And that's why also I like the fact that the government is trying to integrate from terrestrial TV to digital platforms. Because again, we need to be able to plan with data, and that's where you can generate the revenue from. And that's basically.
Okay, in saying that the government has neglected this sector, in trying to redeem the sector, where do you think they should start from?
The backbone. So for example, why is data so expensive in Nigeria? The internet backbone. Every company has to come in with their own internet infrastructure. Every company has to set up their own base stations. If we had Nitel, what would then happen is we have a government backbone, a very strong backbone, and everybody would plug in. So I don't necessarily need to have my own mass as Mobile. I can just buy a bulk unit, which is what some other companies do abroad. I can just buy a bulk unit and work with that. Now, when I say it has been neglected for a while, it's because Take, for example, the national identity card. It was ignored for a while. Now it's even a problem for people to be able to get it. In Kenya, there are a whole lot of office buildings like this that you can't get into without your national ID card. You understand? And I think the number of Kenyans that do not have national ID card will be very, very infinitesimal. You understand? So that's basically what it is. So we've not invested in that industry for a while. How many persons listen to radio in Nigeria? Yes, we have approximate figures. We have a whole lot of figures we throw around. But how precise is this data? How can we drill down to the individual? There are some softwares we use, which is owned by a South African company, and I don't want to mention the name, and basically, this software can basically tell us, can analyze the entire social media network of a brand and tell you the person is interacting with your brand are doctors, or they're interested in technology news, they're interested in music, they're interested in business, right? And with that, if I know their interest, instead of me signing a musician, I can then decide to sign a fashionista if most of my audience are interested in fashion business. But now, if I want to sign an ambassador, for example, I would, let's say, pick a Burna Boy. Not knowing that, it would have been more effective to pick a Maya Tafo, for example. Yeah? And that's basically what it is.
But do you think we have a synergy problem? Because, I mean, you have the telecommunications people have some form of database because you had to register your SIM card. And then the bank has the BVN. And then we have a national identity card also. And then we have the voters registration. Those are information. We even have the number plate cards and all that. So would you say the problem is synergy?
So the problem is both. It's not just from one end. So it's data entry and it's also synergy. So for example, we can't use the registration that we did for our SIM cards because the same Nigerians, some people, if they misplace their SIM and they go to renew, they will realize that they just got someone on the street to register their SIM card, and the picture there is not for them.
Wow.
Now, I had an issue recently, and I had to go through that process of finding out registration and things like that. And someone told me in confidence that, hey, there are some databases that we have of pictures that the picture there is an animal, a yam or something.
Wow.
So the question is the data entry, right? How did we feed in that data? What were the checks and balances to bring in that data? Even if you say our electoral system, which I did not want to go into, but how? So when we did the when we did the capturing, right? Did the camera have an optical character recognition? Can I register my face here and go and register my face in Bornu and things like that? How did we achieve that? And that's basically what it is. So the banks cannot take the data from the telecoms companies because the data, they can't trust it. They can't work with it, right? If I want to, a whole lot of the government rolled out a trader money scheme recently, and we're giving monies to traders and things like that. Now the question is, if you want to take a loan now, for example, right? How do you find out your credit rating? Are you credit worthy? Is there a database where I can find my credit score? No. There are a couple of companies that do that now, maybe 3 or 4 companies in Nigeria, but it's been accessed by B2B clients, right? We can't access that presently. It's a problem. You go to payments. So when I say backbone, it's everywhere. You go to payments. In Kenya, a whole lot of small loan companies that came into Nigeria went to Kenya to start up first. Why? There's a payment infrastructure, there's a payment backbone, there's M-Pesa. So if I want to give out loans, I just tell people you can request from M-Pesa. I send the money to your M-Pesa. In Nigeria, you have to integrate with InterSwitch, Paystack, you have to be going to the offices. I'm sure those persons are tired of the Chinese people that come to the office every day. You get? Because there's no central payment infrastructure that we can all plug into. And that's basically what it is. If you meet any startup, they will tell you payment is a problem for them. How do I collect? How do I remit? Presently, it is a lot more easier to send money to London than to send money to Senegal. Because we do not, payment is a huge problem in Africa. It's a huge problem in Nigeria. Some countries have worked around it. Some countries have been able to do better. But we haven't really achieved much in those places. And that's why you see that the growth when it comes to tech or the growth when it comes to a whole lot of things have slowed down for a while. Because you need payments to be able to do a lot of tech business. You need internet to be able to do a lot of tech business. 60% of our clients are Asians, right? I have to do Skype calls almost every week. It's a hassle.
Well, regardless, your company has achieved so much. What do you think has been the greatest achievement so far for you?
I think it would be, okay, so first things first, I tell people, I think my company has done more for me than I've done for the company. Reason being, the company has taught me how to be a better person. Right? I have learned a lot from relating with people. I've met a lot of amazing people. And it's been a very, very great journey. But I think one of the biggest things that we've been able to achieve is that we've been able to achieve that African perspective to things. And we've been able to achieve quality team members. So we train our team members a lot. We spend a whole lot of money on training and data, right? And I think that's one of the most important things. And it has also taught us, how do you position yourself for the international market? We won the we won the contract to monitor the Kenyan election through USAID to build a couple of digital platforms for the Kenyan election in 2017. Now, we won that project from Nigeria in collaboration with our Kenyan office. But the biggest part of that proposal was done in Nigeria. How many companies in Nigeria can put together a proper tender document without knowing anybody in the system, and that tender document would go through? I don't think it's more than 5%, and I stand to be corrected. You get? It's a case of, we know how to do business from our local environment. So I know somebody, I know what they need, I send in a proposal. So we don't take into consideration positioning. We don't take into consideration trainings. And that's why you see that some persons will tell you, they don't train a lot in Nigeria and things like that. We don't train our people because, hey, my MD probably knows someone somewhere and we are going to get the contract, so why train them? I just get the contract. I get them to do the monotonous job of moving papers from one point to another. How many persons are critical thinkers in Nigeria? And I was listening to Tim Cook recently, the CEO of Apple, and he said that China does really actually have cheap labor. And he said the reason why Apple would be in China or produce or do some things in China is not actually for cheap labor, it's for skilled labor. So if you need IT systems engineer in China, you would get a football field filled up, right? In America, you probably get a room filled up. In Nigeria, you probably get a car filled up. Do you understand? The question is, how many there are some things you would need now in Nigeria, even with respect to your field, even with respect to production, that you would check the whole of Lagos and you'll not find 50 persons that can do it.
So off the back of that, do you think Nigerian youths are lazy?
I don't want to say they are lazy, because if you say someone is lazy, you would then ask, what tools have you given to the person, right? Our educational system is broken from the first day till the last day you leave. So you would not say they are lazy if you haven't given them the right tool. However, I would say Nigerian youths need to do more. Reason being, we know we have power issues, internet issues, road issues. You see, we've had this for the past few years now. It might not go away. It might not go away very soon. It might be there for a while. However, what we then need to do is, how do we work around it? Because mind you, there are a whole lot of persons that have come out from the system despite of these issues that we had. Yes, they had a good network, they had good education. I was having a conversation now, and I was telling someone, every Nigerian entrepreneur has an X factor. And that X factor is, how did you get there? Now, when they tell you their story, you find an X factor somewhere. So either the family supported me, I was in the right school, I had an uncle who gave me the right network, I had someone who linked me to the right client, and from that point I was able to scale. Now, if that X factor is not distributed evenly across the system, you find a lot of people that are not very, very efficient.
So what is your own X factor?
I think my X factor is based on 3 things. And it's God, family, and hard work.
Okay.
Yes.
I know we don't have time to expatiate on that, but if you're going to advise a startup, anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur, what would you say to that person?
I would say open up your mind.
Okay.
And I would say do a lot of research. The first time I was shortlisted for the 430 under 30 this year, However, I'd been attending the Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit in Boston since 2017. Right. So, and I used to have a very narrow perspective about entrepreneurship till I attended in 2017. My friend, so I met a friend there and we sat down together all through and we had a conversation about over the next few days of the conference. And I realized he had just raised $44 million in the second round of funding. Oh. He had raised $44 million. He was in a room where nobody knew him. In Nigeria, if you have raised $44 million, the DJ will start calling your name. You need to open up your mind. Okay. You need to reach out to the world. If you cannot grow vertically, grow horizontally. Spread out, right? It doesn't cost you anything to do business in Ghana. It doesn't cost you anything to do business in Kenya. Rwanda has one of the highest ease of doing business index, and it takes you about 6 to 10 hours to register your company in Rwanda and start doing business. So the question is...
So you're advising them to leave? I'm
not advising them to leave. I'm saying open up your mind. All because sometimes you would never get recognized in your home. It might be a lot more easier to get recognized when you have gone out, when you have... Sometimes what brings you out is really not what you have done in your country. So, for example, one of the things that brought Teksight out was what we did in the Kenyan election in 2017, not the numerous campaigns we have been doing in Nigeria.
So I'm sure they've picked it up, open up your minds. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for the time.
Welcome back. Next conversation is with a young lady who turned her unemployment to a booming baking business. Barbara Okereke is a graduate of Electrical Electronics Engineering from Anambra State University. In 2014, she proceeded to Coventry University, London, where she bagged a distinction in Masters of Business Administration in Oil and Gas Management. In 2015, she enrolled at Fair Cake Premier School, London, where she learned the skill of cake baking and decorating. In September 2015, she returned to Nigeria and kicked off her cake business, popularly known as Oven Secret Bakery, located in the city of Lagos. She was recently featured on the British Broadcast Corporation BBC Africa and was also listed on Forbes 30 Under 30 Africa 2019. Thank you for your time, Barbara.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so what led to the birth of Oven Secret?
After I completed my first degree and master's degree, I put in my CV, applying for jobs and all that, but I couldn't get a job. So I decided to just, while waiting for the job, learn a skill on the side. So I enrolled in a baking school and then learned how to bake cakes. Came back to Nigeria to continue my hunt for a job. Still, it wasn't forthcoming. So I just casually decided to start baking cakes for family and friends, and next thing, clients, they'll come in and I bake for someone's birthday, someone else orders a cake, like that. That was how I officially started Oven Secret Bakery.
So this was not, you did not envisage this business
No,
being
I did
this big?
not. I did not envisage it. No, I did not. Even in the first year of business, I was still applying for jobs because I didn't think that I was, settling for, like baking cakes after everything. My parents were putting me under pressure, like, why will you be baking cakes after going to school? Why will you just come back and start baking cake? That's not your profession and all that.
You studied electrical engineering,
yes.
And people would expect that you want to pursue a career in oil and gas and all that. So do you think you settled?
Yes, I settled because I didn't have an option.
Okay.
At that time, I think I settled. Yeah. I can't say I would have been doing better if I actually had an official job related to what I can't really say because no one knows,
Okay.
But I got comfortable where I was with the baking. I was earning and the business was growing, very well. So I just...
So if you get an opportunity, would you leave what you're doing now? I
will not leave what I'm doing. I'll just structure my business in such a way that maybe while I'm working, it can still be,
Oh, so you're still interested in working?
Yes, I don't mind.
And you're still searching?
Well, I'm not searching.
Okay.
But if I find something, that's going to be very, convenient for me, salary-wise and all that, I'll work because I actually want to work. Yeah, I want to build my profession and all that.
Okay, so you don't see baking as a profession yet?
No, I do.
Okay.
I do see it as it is actually. I mean, being an entrepreneur, it's even more, will I say,
challenging?
Yeah, not challenge. It's challenging, but then you're free to do other things you want to do. You're not tied to waking up in the morning. And then sometimes when I'm tired and stressed, I could just say, okay, I'm not working for 2 days. Let me just rest. And then after 2 days, I reboot and come back to the business. So it's actually very flexible for me. That's what I like about the, business aspect. Although it's still very challenging.
Talking about funding for your business, how were you able to grow it to this point, and what challenges do you face in terms of funding?
Yeah, I faced a whole lot of challenges. Actually, in the beginning, it was really tough because I was building the business based on my profits. I started really small. So when I bake cakes and I get profits, I buy an extra equipment, I buy a mixer, like that. I applied for some funding opportunities, but I wasn't able to get anyone. My parents contributed, and then gradually.
So they were okay with you running a bakery instead of doing something with
They
your
weren't
certificate?
okay at first, but when they saw the way I was growing and how the business was doing well and money was coming in, they were fine with it.
Okay, looking back, what is it you might want to change right now?
I don't think I want to change anything really, because everything happens for a reason. My master's kind of helped me in structuring my business because I did a master's in business administration.
Okay.
So somehow I had an idea on how to run a business. So it helped. Everything was kind of connected. My engineering background also helped me to when it comes to decorating those cakes, precision, measurements. So I just feel I don't think I want to change anything because if I didn't do them, I may not be able to, apply the knowledge I had gotten from school to my business.
Okay, your industry is a very competitive one.
Yes.
So how do you ensure you still stay relevant in the industry and evolve correctly?
Okay, I go for trainings. I don't settle and say, okay, I know how to bake. This is where it ends. I follow the trends in the industry, see what other people are doing. What's the new cake design? Are people now going for a more, complicated designs than the normal basic butter, simple cakes? And then when I find out that I can't do that, I just go train, improve myself, practice, and then, to meet up with the trends. So it's just personal improvement and, continuous. Social media has really helped as well because that's where you see where what everyone is doing. Yeah.
All right. How do you handle competition? Because this industry can look saturated sometimes.
Well, I don't focus on competition. I focus on myself.
Okay.
Because if you focus on competition, when I started, initially, and I was looking at what others are doing, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. You find out that you get depressed. You start looking down on yourself. So I look at what my competitors are doing, but I don't focus on them. I focus on my own crafts and make sure I'm the best in what I'm doing, or I'm putting out a very good product.
What advice do you have for people who think they are stuck in a career that is not meant for them?
Well, I'd advise them to have a really open mind and not think that that's where everything ends. There are other opportunities to try out and see. If it works for you, fine, go for it. That's what I would really say about it. However, before you go into anything you plan on doing, I would advise you really have to do a whole lot of research to be sure of what you're going into, because along the line, I understand that not everybody is built for business. Some people are actually good in the 9-to-5 working aspect, and so you really have to, understand what you're going into before you go into it, so you don't end up, being a failure along the line.
Okay, so you've lived the life of the unemployed Nigerian, especially when you're looking for jobs. I know they say each time that we have high rates of unemployment. But for you, you've lived it. You were looking for something and you thought of getting a skill which has become the bedrock of your business now. So having that experience and looking at the country now, how would you describe the typical Nigerian youth?
Well, It all depends on the individual, really, but it's really, the country is not favorable for the youths.
Okay.
Really, it's not, because a lot of people have great ideas out there, but they don't have the finance to start, you know, they don't have the motivation. Nobody is schooling them on, you know, what to do and what not to do. So it's really, really, really depressing, and it's left for the individual now to pick up yourself and not wait for the government or who's going to come and bring you out of your situation. So you just take it upon yourself. Okay, it is what it is. This is the situation. Now what next? What's the solution? What next should I do? And then you organize yourself. If it's a business, you start. If it's a job, cool. If you find any that could be supporting you pending when you get a good one, then that's fine.
Okay, so in dealing with all this and the situation in the country and with your friends and people around you that you've related with, would you say Nigerian youths are lazy?
I don't think Nigerian youths are lazy. I just feel the environment is not encouraging for them.
Okay.
Yes, it's not encouraging for them. If I had the basic amenities, if I had funds, there's no way I would be, I mean, any youth would want to just be sitting down at home doing nothing. If the government was, okay, we have this grant here, so and so amount of money, we're going to give people with great ideas. There are some of them there, but it's not enough for, you know, the amount of graduates and all that Nigerian universities dish out every year. So I don't think Nigerian youths are lazy. Yeah.
All right. So if you have an advice for someone who wants to own the kind of business you're running now or just be entrepreneurial, what would you say to that person?
I'll tell them to, like I said earlier, research.
Okay.
Train yourself, because that's a very big mistake. Like my business, in the cake business, you have to, you know how to, it's a craft. Use your hand and do stuff. So you have to train yourself and make sure you are ready to go into it. No trial and errors, because at the end of the day, you end up disappointing your customers, and then you're back to square one. Another thing I would advise is to look for a mentor, like someone in your line of business you could look up to, and then ask questions when the need arises. So that's about it. All
right. You were recently recognized by Forbes 30 under 30 Africa business people.
Yeah.
How has that changed your business?
Well, it has really, really changed my business in many ways, in terms of the publicity, more customers, people believing more in your brand, you know, and then my clientele base has increased greatly. Yeah, so we're looking at expansion so we could be able to accommodate the number of orders we get and all that. So it has really helped my business.
Any form of training going on for people who want to bake?
Oh, yes. Yes, we offer physical training classes, and then also online for those who are not in Lagos.
Okay.
So if you can't come to Lagos, you could join the online class. And if you want a physical training, you could also attend our training school.
All right. Thank you so much, Barbara, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's it on this special series on One-on-One. Thank you for watching. For more conversation with interesting personalities, do follow us at Plus TV Africa on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. My name is Elsie Godwin. Thank you for watching.